Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm going to be doing a review of Sweet Home by Carys Bray. I received Sweet Home as a review copy from the publisher, so full disclosure, this was sent to me by the publisher, but as always, I always give an honest review of what I think of this book. This is a short story collection by Carys Bray, which is a story collection that delves into family and parenthood and sometimes takes a darker look. And if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you know that I am on the hunt for a 5-star short story collection, and I found it! Oh my god, I absolutely adore this short story collection. I have finally found the one. I think part of what has made this the short story collection for me is that I really I understand what's going on in the stories. They touch a nerve with me. Some of them are very poignant, and I think it's finding something that really speaks to you, and this book really spoke to me. I was making a list of the short stories in here that I liked. There's 17 short stories in the book, and I was making a list of my favourites to tell you, and there was 7 or 8 which I just absolutely loved, and the rest I thought were great. But to have nearly half of the book of stories that I think are brilliant, I think really says a lot. So I'm just going to tell you the stories that I liked. I'm also going to tell you a little bit more about the book, and then I'm also going to read you a few extracts because I want you to get a feel for the writing. I just think this is such a brilliant book, and I love the cover on this as well. So here are a list of some of the short stories that I really liked. I really liked Everything a Parent Needs to Know, Just in Case, The Rescue, The Baby Aisle, Countdown, Love, Terms and Conditions, and I Will Never Disappoint My Children. And they're for all different reasons, but I think the main reason that those were my favourites were because those stories, apart from one of them, I had experience or some sort of life experience or parenting experience which has really filtered, and I was like, oh my god, that's exactly what it's like, or yes, that's what I've been worried about. But it's just written so beautifully. She uses beautiful language. Carys Bray has also written a novel called A Song for Issy Bradley, which I won from the wonderful Jen Campbell's channel a while ago and haven't got to reading yet, which I must rectify. And in fact, it was Jen Campbell who recommended this book for me to read, and oh, I'm so pleased that she did. I think having read this book and also reading an article that Jen sent me about Carys Bray, it was an interview with her with the Guardian newspaper, and finding more about her life. She has 4 children, and unfortunately one of her children died when she was just a couple of days old, which is something that I never ever want to have to go through, and I can only imagine how difficult it is. She was also a member of the Mormon faith growing up and for a long time into her adult life, and Mormons place being a mother above most things. It's a very important part of the religion, and it's just sort of that was just very interesting to read about, and also sort of look into. There were certain aspects of the book involving religion which I thought were very interesting. So I want to just tell you a little bit about a couple of the stories. One of my favourites, which I've marked, is called Just in Case, and this book made me very emotional. It's a short story about a woman who has lost her child, and the story is about her sort of trying to find a child to borrow or look after. I don't want to say too much because it spoils the idea of the story, but it's just a really dark, interesting look into what it must be like to lose a child, and sort of how your thoughts are. On the back it describes some of the books. Oh, there's Meet the Mother Who Loves to Bring Babies Home from the Newborn Aisle at the Supermarket. I really enjoyed this. This short story was about, it's sort of set in a place where Tesco's and Waitrose and Sainsbury's have a baby aisle, and you can go down the baby aisle and you can pick a baby to take home with you. So and you know, if you don't have a list with you, you always end up picking up those things that you're not sure you really need, but you take anyway. And I just thought it was quite funny. It was an interesting look at social class as well, because you know, your Waitrose and Marks and Spencer's, the children had slightly different names and slightly different attributes than the Tesco's babies. And also, like the Tesco's babies, which is where the protagonist in this short story shops, has like a 2-for-1 deal if you want twins sometimes. And also there's like a best before date, so some of the children are going off and you know, their names are not as current. And it's just a really, really weird but really clever and interesting look, I think, at having children and having children on a whim. And you know, what would it be like if you could just pick a child up at the supermarket? And you know, those things that you go to the supermarket to shop, and if you don't take a shopping list with you, you always pick up like random things, and then often when you get home you sort of hide, well, I do I hide them from my husband because I don't want him to know that I've bought these sort of random things that we didn't really need but I just kind of wanted. And it's just a really, really interesting and funny story, so I loved that one. Another short story that really spoke to me was called I Will Never Disappoint My Children. It's a very short story, and it's about a woman that picks up her daughter from school, and they've got a little bit of time before they pick up her son from a bigger school, and she says she'll take her for an ice cream. The only part that's open in the ice cream place is a drive-through, but the mother really needs to wee, and the daughter's really sort of like, no, I won't get out of the car, and oh, I don't want to do this, and it's and eventually they come out and the ice cream place is shut, and it's the disappointment of the daughter. But goodness me, I know that challenge of getting a child out of the house. You always think you can do it in 5-10 minutes, and it always takes way longer than you expect because they put up resistance at every turn. No, I won't go for a wee before we leave the house. No, I don't want to put my shoes on. I don't want to do that. I want to bring this with me. I don't want to go there. No, I don't want to sit in the back seat. I don't. Oh, it just it really spoke to me, that one. And yet, after all of that stress that you go through as a parent to get them to somewhere where they want to be, the look on disappointment on their faces during that period, or because of all of that, they haven't been able to get somewhere on time. There's been times where I haven't been able to get my daughter out of the house quick enough to get her to her dance class, which is only half an hour long. So, you know, if you miss half of it, it's quite a big deal. And the look of disappointment and tears on her face from not making it, and the look of, it's your fault, mummy, it kills you, and yet you know that the reason you haven't made it is because of them. It's a really that one I think I really really found very interesting. Okay, so this, I just want to read you a bit from this. This isn't something that I've got personal experience with because I've only got one child, but in this short story we're in the middle of it, and the mother is being asked by her children who is her favourite, and she's saying, I love you all exactly the same. And then this is what happens next. The truth is that I love Adam the most. Adult teeth, haphazard his gums like tombstones. He's barely put together, jumbly, slouching, still soft-skinned, tying on opinions, wearing ideas, then discarding them like socks. He makes up quizzes. How many goals did Wayne Rooney score last season? He asked once. I don't know, I said. Do you know? No, he answered, but it was probably about 50. He makes up jokes. Who's the grumpiest player in the Premiership? Peter Crouch. Who's the rudest player in Man United? Wayne Mooney. Who is the cleanest Arsenal player? Van Persie. His disclosures curl like his free kicks quickly and before anyone can protect themselves. Yes, I've got homework, just a diagram. I've got to label it. It's a big vagina. I don't know why you're being so nice to Jonathan because he's got a sore willy. I've got a hair on my balls. Dad hit his thumb with the hammer. He said, slug in a ditch, but it sounds more like son of a bitch to me. At bedtime, he chats to me. These chats are a diversion, a detour from sleep that I allow him to follow in order to experience his search for subjects, his quest for conversation. He nods sagely, pretends an interest in everything I say. Even boredom is better than bed. He asks me questions about my childhood, and although I discern a lack of interest in the side-to-side of his eyes, in the deliberate creases scaffolded by his eyebrows, I answer. I want him to be interested. And she goes on to describe the other two children and why she loves them the best as well. And I just think it's lovely. And I can't push this book enough. It has taken me this long to find a 5-star collection, and this is one that is going on my shelf and that I shall be loving and rereading for years to come. Finally, a 5-star short story collection. So if you like the sound of that, maybe give it a try. And thank you to the publisher for sending it to me, because they have restored my hope that short stories can be for me. Anyway, that's it from me today, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.